The Batman Who Laughs, Issue 7. Here's Brucey. Narrative. Have you ever had a moment when something that seemed so complicated suddenly just made sense? When you just got it? Because I see now. Happiness, true happiness, is when you become the person you were always meant to be. When you stop fighting and just accept it. When you throw off the illusions, the masks, and just be yourself. And for me, that moment is right now. Wayne Manor. The Batman Who Laughs says, "See, I was right, wasn't I? Letting the old Bruce go, becoming the Batman Who Laughs. It feels good, doesn't it, brother?" Batman says, "Yes." The Batman Who Laughs says, "And you thought I was the bad guy." Once the light on this syringe shows red, it means your blood is my blood. And I can use your plasma to make the last bit of the serum I need to change this city into what it was always meant to be. But it means something else, too. The Batman Who Laughs says, "Doesn't it?" Batman says, "Huh? It does, because there can only ever be one winner." The Batman Who Laughs says, "That's right, my friend. I'm afraid when that light goes red, it's goodbye." The Grim Knight says, "There's no happy ending coming." Beneath the Batcave, the Grim Knight says, "No last-minute escape this time, Jim." Commissioner Gordon says, "James, I'm begging you to..." The Grim Knight says, "No. For years you kept him down with your false morals, your rules. But no more. Your knee is off his throat, off my throat, off the throat of this damn city." Commissioner Gordon says, "Wait, this knee?" The Grim Knight says, "Oh!" Commissioner Gordon says, The Grim Knight says, "The knife, James. He's going for the knife. Get it for me." The Batman Who Laughs says, "I'm so proud of you." The Batman Who Laughs says, "It's like watching a baby bat let go of the rock that first time, uncurling its toes, not knowing if it will fall or fly. I remember this as the hardest thing I've ever had to do. The only thing harder is what I'm about to do. But to pass a torch to the next generation." The Grim Knight says, "Get it, James. I'll be this city's Batman. You'll be my ally, something better than a Robin. Be my crow. Be my bird of death." The Batman Who Laughs continues, "To live on through your progeny. That's the biggest win of all. Am I right?" Tick. The Batman Who Laughs says, "And then there were two. Click. This is it, Bruce. Fly high, my friend. Fly and lead your world as its true Batman." Batman says, "I will, brother. I will." Blam! The Batman Who Laughs says, "You almost had me, Bruce. Let me guess. You knew any syringe I brought with me would be Wayne Tech, so you rigged a charge in your suit to turn the light red, when in reality, tick, it'd still be green. Now, I don't know why you're not changing all the way, but I don't care anymore. See, I was the best friend you've ever had, Bruce. But now I'm just going to kill you." JJ says, "You want me to?" The Grim Knight says, "Ha, no, I have a better idea." The Grim Knight continues. Let's make him the first one. See, Jim? Right now, the drones are on their way here to acquire what they think is an antitoxin from the reservoir to spray across the city. But that antitoxin is our serum. All anyone has to do is ingest it, drink it in, and they will become their best, darkest selves. Here, Jim, have a sip. Commissioner Gordon says. The Batman Who Laughs says, sorry, Bruce, but you lose. Again. Blam. Batman says. The Batman Who Laughs says, see, I will change this whole city. Know that as you die. Because if you won't give me what I need to complete the serum, I'll just bring another Bruce. And young Bruce says, no. Young Bruce says, leave him alone. The Batman Who Laughs says, huh? Well, I almost forgot about you. Young Bruce says, help me. The Grim Knight says, go on, scream. If you don't open up, eventually I'll just have James use the knife on you. He can tell you how good it feels as he does. So go on, open your mouth, call to your city, call to your friends. The Grim Knight continues, call to your boy. Splash. Commissioner Gordon says, James, JJ says, I'm sorry, Dad, but I'm good where I am. The Batman Who Laughs says, aw, come on now, Bruce. I'm a friend. I promise. I won't hurt you. Young Bruce says, The Batman Who Laughs continues, much. Alfred says, die, demon. Blam, blam, blam. Die, blam. Die, and go back to the hell you came from. Click, click, click. The Batman Who Laughs says, you almost had me, Alfred. Just a couple more shots. You know, I never told you how you died on my world. Alfred says, shut your... The Batman Who Laughs continues, you were the last one I faced. After everyone else. You were tough, too. You rigged the cave, the vehicles, all to kill me. Truth is, you would have won. But then I managed to convince you there was still good in me. That your little boy was still alive. And then I trapped you in the sub-caves. Fed you scraps, whispered to you at all hours. It took over a year to break you. But break you I did. See, the joke is, you're not dead on my world. You're still alive. Still my faithful manservant. My most trusted ally. Alfred says, I'd never. The Batman Who Laughs says, we'll see soon enough, won't we? Now, give me the boy. Computer voice says, approaching targets. Alfred says, never. You stay back, you abomination. The Batman Who Laughs says, you think you can save him? You've never saved any Bruce who went... Albie, why the hell aren't you changed? Batman says, just lucky, I guess. The Batman Who Laughs says, well, please, tell me this, was it? Your big contingency after the syringe. Luring me here so Alfred could shoot me? This was your great plan? Batman says, no, this was. Batman says, after our first encounter, I set traps for you in places only Bruce Wayne would know. Crime Alley, the cave, the manor, here, because I knew you'd make any fight personal for the soul of Batman. Chick! The Batman Who Laughs says, you think a few tasers will thunk, 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 zzz, Batman says, depleted uranium shell harpoons, actually, meant for incapacitating tanks. And evil Batman. Narrative. Still, for all your attacks, all your plans. Computer voice says, drones equipped, proceeding to vaccination sites. Batman continues, the truth is, I prepared the hardest to defend myself against your argument. Of all the Batmen in existence, I'm the least happy, least effective, the worst. But I just looked into the dark myself and saw hundreds of versions of me. And the thing I realized is that, by those standards, you're right, I am the worst Batman of all. Batman continues, and the truth, it hurts. Those harpoons are high voltage, by the way. Zzz. The Batman Who Laughs says, narrative continues. It's the hardest thing, when someone makes you see what you don't want to see about yourself. The Grim Knight says, drink. Drink or your son here will cut a hole in your windpipe. Isn't that right, James? The Batman Who Laughs says, you are the worst Batman. You're a joke. We all laugh at you. Batman says, that may be, but you know who's a bigger joke than the worst Batman? The Batman he beats. The Batman Who Laughs says, ugh. Batman says, aw, why aren't you laughing? The Grim Knight says, the drones are nearly over the city by now. If he won't drink, just use the knife on him. Go on, James, and tell him how good it feels as you do. JJ says, all right, you want to know, Dad, how it feels? Thunk, thunk. The Grim Knight says, ugh, what are you... Batman says, you were right about it all, brother. Letting go, in this moment, I feel such happiness. JJ says, you really want to know? Thunk. The Batman Who Laughs says, stop, please. Crack. Alfred says, sir, your eyes, you're fully changed. Batman says, look at him, Alfred. Trying to run? No more. Alfred says, please, you must come back to... Batman says, no. JJ says, it feels amazing. Thunk, thunk. Batman says, it's the best feeling in the world. Everyone needs to feel this way. You hear me, Gotham? You hear me? Computer voice says, initiate emergency dissemination. Commissioner Gordon says, stop, James. James, it's time to stop. His remote. Crack, crack. Batman says, thank you, thank you. Commissioner Gordon says, come on, end. Batman says, thank you. The Joker says, hey, Bats. Joker says, you're welcome. Blam. Computer voice says, error, circuit broken. System shut down. Alfred says, you're melting it down? Good. No more portals, no more windows into that place. I'll be glad when the city is stripped of all its dark metal. And you, sir, the transfusion, it's still holding after 2 weeks? Batman says, so far. Alfred says, I've never seen anything like it. The boy's blood. It was like cord plasma or some kind of embryonic stem cell, but made from You. Batman says, the dark multiverse is a reactive realm. Every world there is created from the hopes or fears of someone here. It's like a womb in that way, brought here without any metal grounding. Its beings die, but the boy, Alfred says, I sent him back, sir. I managed it just before you woke, and I told him that on a night in the near future, his parents would suggest they go to a theater. But whatever happened, whatever they said, they should stay home. So I saved one, sir. At least that's something, no? Batman says, it is. Alfred says, and sir, I want you to know that I'm proud of you. Whatever that vile toxin was, you stayed yourself. You stayed Batman. By force of will, Batman says, not by force of will, Alfred. By a sleight of hand. Alfred says, I don't understand. Batman continues, Joker, I knew he'd likely rigged the original toxin in his heart before all this to give me more time than anyone assumed. Alfred says, sir, listen to me, that's not... Batman says, when Joker woke here with you, he kept saying one thing, you're breaking my heart. In ancient times, the court jester with the slowest wit often wore a broken heart signa. Heartbreaker is also a term for a joke that's funny, but takes too long to land. Hell, the fact that he was able to function given all the drugs you pumped into him, all of it suggested he'd added some kind of masked agent to give me just enough time. Alfred says, sir, no, you won because you remained true until those last moments. So, contrary to everything you said about being the worst of them, Batman says, I meant what I said, Alfred. Alfred says, what? Batman continues, I meant every word. What I saw when I stood here and stared into the dark, all those versions of me, the ones who impress their will on the city, the ones who give up Batman for love or ambition or grander plans for change. They are more effective in changing the city, and they're happier. Alfred says, sir. Batman says, no, the hard truth is they're likely better Batmen than me for Gotham, a city that was built on secret plans for conquest, for winning. I thought Gotham was one thing, but it's just not. Maybe everyone would be happier with them as heroes, happier under that serum with the whole burden of goodness just gone. Alfred says, you can't be saying... Batman says, I'm saying he's not wrong about us, Alfred. That monster, locked away in the dungeon of the Hall of Justice, he's right. Alfred says, he's a nightmare, nothing more. Batman says, a nightmare is built on truth. Alfred says, that's Joker talking. He is your fear that the Joker is right about the world, that's all. Batman says, no, Joker says that to accept that there's no meaning in your actions is to win. I say to believe there is meaning in all your actions is to win. That demon, what he says is that there is no meaning in your actions. Therefore, the only meaningful act is to win. He is the fear that we're both right, Joker and I. The fear that without any grander meaning, at heart we are cold, animalistic, selfish things. Alfred says, and if he's right, where is the bloody hope in any of this? Where's the light? Sir? Commissioner Gordon says, James. JJ says, I'm coming, Dad. I just need to change into my oranges. They brought me too big a size, but I can. Commissioner Gordon says, just listen. They're they're not taking you back. I called in, and the truth is, I want this to continue. I want you to keep going where you already are. It's a good thing. JJ says, Dad, so I'm not where I wanted you to think I was. Not yet. It was partly a mask. I mean, I'm not there yet. Commissioner Gordon says, so son, neither am I. But you're trying, and so am I. And so is everyone. Narrative. Where is the light, Alfred? I don't know. I've been wrestling with that a lot lately. But the Batman Who Laughs spoke about learning from a bat. He said that a bat, being the only mammal that can fly, is an example of what we can achieve if we embrace our primal nature. But maybe it's the opposite. I mean, look at a damn bat. A bat isn't designed for flight the way a bird is, with hollow bones and feathered wings. For wings, it uses its own flesh, stretched between fingers that reach too far. A bat's flight is about defying what comes naturally, achieving what's hard, what's painful, but sublime. Narrative continues. And for better or worse, that's Batman, isn't it? He says, defy your nature, defy everything, to be better than you're supposed to be, day after day, night after night. I think I've always known that. At least I knew it when I was that boy, running in the yard, happy in the arms of people I wanted to be like when I grew up. So thank you, Alfred, because the truth is, Batman isn't about knowing who you are, but who you want to be. And in your way, you've always been there telling me so. Alfred says, I'm blushing, sir, but I want you to know something. What I was trying to say earlier, I tested the toxin that changed you and found no decelerating agent in it. Batman says, that's impossible. Alfred says, is it? Maybe you didn't change because you're Batman. Batman says, Alfred. Alfred says, no one hates that clown more than I do, but what better joke to play in the end than to take credit for something Batman achieved himself? Batman says, huh. Alfred says, come on now, sir. That's the best you can do? I mean, I know Batman doesn't laugh, but still. Someone on the street says, hey, watch it, man. Commissioner Gordon says, sorry. Batman says, I'm laughing on the inside, old friend, on the inside. An officer says, Commissioner, are you okay? You don't look so good. Commissioner Gordon says, fine, cadet, fine. In fact, never better.